Here is the game I made during the Bezi Jam. The game is played entirely with the mouse, just clicking and moving. So in the first scene you have to find the correct pair of and complete the picture. In the second scene you have to find all the pieces of cheese hidden inside a maze. That meant I had to change both the cursor and its behavior between the two scenes. In reality, it's a single Unity scene. I just switched the interface. I started with my favorite path, drawing the textures. It's a seamless texture with only a few color variation, mainly red and yellow, since it's just the background. Everything was drawn in Krita, and I did the color correction in Photoshop. Then I created the collision model based on the texture. The holes in the cheese would hold the gameplay elements. Since the texture is seamless, I duplicated the mesh and adjusted it on every side. The model was pretty heavy, so I optimized it by removing unnecessary edges. It's perfectly fine for a game jam, but for a full game I'd model it differently. After importing the background with its collision, I started experimenting with the cursor. I tried different colors and different shapes. Even a white cursor stands out well against a yellow background. Then I started drawing a paperclip because I have strong memories of the old window paperclip. And since the game is controlled entirely with the mouse, I ended up making a paperclip mouse. The whiskers turned out to be unnecessary. Once the mouse was moving around, the next step was making it click. For some reason I started drawing little seeds, but eventually I settled on a much simpler design. I couldn't figure out why it looked so ugly. Whenever that happens, using a simple circle is almost always the better choice. I animated the click in Krita, converted the sprite sheet on the SGIF website, imported it into Unity and hooked up the logic using my own visual scripting system. Next I drew the skulls that appear when you make the correct match. They're a little revert because our brains naturally love recognizing faces. Then I moved on the menu buttons. To save time, I reused the same texture. I experimented with different backgrounds, choosing between cool and warm color palettes. To make the texture feel more alive, I used textured brushes and even drew custom skulls for those brushes. Later I could reuse those skulls in the interface as well. I also finished drawing the font so the entire game would keep the hand-drawn look. For that I used the Calligrapher website. For the highlighted menu button I added a plant-inspired decoration. I also added a particle system to the menu background. I added a counter for the circle clicks and another counter for the skulls you've uncovered. If you choose the wrong pair, an error animation plays. If you find the correct pair, the animation I created earlier is shown. I wanted the transition between two levels to feel natural, so I started drawing the outline of the maze using the first background as a base. After checking one more time that every path was reachable, I started modeling the collision for the maze. In the game, all the visuals are either hand-drawn or rendered in 3D. There are no actual 3D models in the game, only the collision geometry is modeled. To speed things up, I used sculpting, then added texture with the vertex painting in Substance Painter to give the maze more depth. For the collision, I used grease pencil in Blender, converted it into a mesh, and added thickness. For the second cursor, I draw a mouse that becomes the player and follows the new cursor. From the game's logic perspective, the two cursors are handled as two separate parameters. Finally, I added the little cheese and the mouse footprints. Voila!